All right, all right. This is our infograph. Superpower step down from MAD. Reagan tried to use other methods of responding to nukes than mutually assured destruction, and Reagan began to try and find other methods to deal with the threat of a nuclear attack from the Soviets. One of the things that the military created was a missile defense system nicknamed Star Wars. The idea behind it was to shoot the nuke out of the air before it could do any real damage to the U.S., and it provided more safety to the United States as a whole. Superpower stepped down for MAD again. The USA and USSR decided to step down from using their nukes. Finally, in 1987, the USSR and US finally signed the Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Treaty to take another further step from MAD. So this way, it was a lot safer for both countries, and the threat of a nuclear attack was not as large.
Brinkmanship was a method used during the Cold War that involved threatening the opposing side to pursue a policy until the brink of war. The United States used the threat of nuclear war as an advantage, and the goal was for the Soviets to believe Americans would use their weapons. The main idea of brinkmanship was to threaten. Americans wanted to act like they were willing to go to war, so the Soviets would back down, and the Soviets later used the same strategy against the Americans. Also, the Americans had to make more bombs so that they could threaten a war that they would win.
The combination of deterrence and willingness to use nuclear weapons came to be known as mutual assured destruction. Either side would respond to a nuclear attack by launching its own missiles, with devastating results for both sides. Fear of nuclear conflict made the United States and the Soviet Union more likely to step back from all-out war. However, while MAD may have helped prevent the Cold War from turning high, it also kept the world in a state of heightened anxiety.
The race to develop weapons of mass destruction. Both the superpowers were racing to make the deadliest weapon, but they were also stockpiling weaker, more easier to build weapons. The U.S. had around 1,000 more ballistic missiles that they could launch from the U.S. to reach Soviet mainland. But although the USSR had more planes to take bombs to the U.S. mainland, although this never happened, both sides were very prepared.
The development of the H-bomb. The H-bomb worked differently from the A-bomb. It combined atoms instead of pulling them apart. As you can see to the right, this infographic shows how big the Tsar bomb, which was 50 kilotons, compared to the bombs made by Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The H-bomb H-bomb, Truman said to make the H-bomb, and originally Oppenheimer was against it. But after long convincing, Oppenheimer decided to do it. It was about 500 times bigger than the A-bombs dropped on Nagasaki
And Hiroshima.
Scientists resisted the idea at first, and then decided to make it. Stop recording.
I'm going to stop.
Press escape and then press on that thing.
I got it.
All right.
Don't listen.